Welcome back to the ProActiveWay podcast, where we share with you how we built a successful Latino and family-owned business that has served the San Francisco Bay Area for the last 27 years. Proactive Network Consulting was founded on the belief that small businesses deserve quality IT support tailored to their unique needs. And this podcast is here to further connect us with our community of small business owners. I'm your host, Seila Flores, marketing designer at Proactive and daughter of our founders, Lawrence and Michelle. Welcome to our family and small business. Today, our guest, Martin Encinas, is here to talk to us about his experience as a small business owner and his love for San Francisco and the community of small businesses in the Bay Area. Martin received his bachelor's degree in music industry/business administration from the University of Southern California. He has been a real estate agent in the San Francisco Bay Area for 8 years, and he co-founded Harper Real Estate in 2018. Hello, Martin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm here with you. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, let's jump in. As a born and raised San Franciscan, what did growing up in San Francisco mean to you, and how did it influence where you are today?
That's a great question. And I don't think anyone has ever asked me, but I think that San Francisco growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, in my opinion, was a tougher city. And I was able to build a lot of resilience and grit. And I think those are two characteristics that I continue to have today. And, being a son of immigrant parents, first generation American, I was able to experience a lot of things for my family and be the first in a lot of rooms. So having those traits of grit and perseverance have allowed me to continue to move forward. And I give that to growing up in San Francisco, growing up in the Mission, because of the environment that I was in allows me to continue to move forward.
That's amazing. All right. So you studied and lived in LA for a couple years. What drew you back to the Bay Area, and why are you glad to call it home today?
Yeah, the Bay Area is home. I had an amazing experience at USC and Los Angeles. I became a young man in LA. After LA, I was living in New York for a little bit as well. So I've always been a city person, but when I moved back to San Francisco, and this was before real estate, I was working in tech, and I came back to work for Google in 2015. So it was nice to be back home, be back in the Bay Area, to see my family. That's really what brought me back. It was work.
Now we're going to get a little into your business and what it was like starting a business. I'd like to ask you, what led you to starting a real estate business here in San Francisco, and was this your first time starting a business?
I've always had an entrepreneur and business background. Even since high school, I was really into music back then. So I was with my friends, I started a little record label. We were selling CDs downtown San Francisco. So I've always had that hustle. I've always had that salesmanship. I've always understood the importance of providing value and having a good product. So I think reflecting back in my high school years, that's what allowed me to go to college and get a scholarship for the music industry program. Business has always been crucial. And when I fast forward, even in college, I try to start different businesses with my friends. And when I moved back to the Bay Area in 2015, it was really real estate that I never, was like, oh, I want to build a real estate business. But it was more, I knew I liked business. I knew I liked working for myself. I knew I've always had this entrepreneur bug. But real estate, it came out of like a need, trying to service a need, where in 2015, I just felt like the city, there was a lot of tension in between people that worked in tech, people that were upset of all the real estate development going on, people getting displaced out of San Francisco, out of their neighborhoods. There was a lot of, weird things going on with fires, randomly popping up all throughout the city, specifically in the Mission, and people were losing their homes. And I thought, to me, the common denominator was that it was related to real estate. So as I started thinking about, who do I know in real estate? How do I buy a home? And I'm supposed to be the first person in my family to go to college. At the time, I'm working in tech, so I'm a quote unquote, success story for my family. And I had no idea about the process. I didn't know who to reach out to. I didn't know about any resources. And to me, that was the aha moment where I was like, if I feel this way, how do others feel about real estate? How do others even approach the conversation about investing in real estate? And what about my parents who don't speak English? How do we support them, right? So that was the need that I saw. I felt like there was an opportunity. And I'm not saying there weren't agents helping this underserved community already, but to me, in my generation, in my age group, I didn't know anybody that was helping us. So that's really what caused me to explore getting my real estate license and starting my own practice.
We've definitely seen the impact of you going to this field as you helped us find the office space that we currently use today. So we definitely appreciate that.
And And part of my business too is, I work closely with the mayor's office. I work with the below market rate homes. I work with the, community organizations that provide all these different workshops and classes
Mhm.
and education to be able to qualify for these grants and programs. So that's a big part still of my why and my, what drives me to be in this business. And it's nice to finally be one of the few agents in the city that continues to support those programs.
Yeah. What has it meant for you to be able to be that representation and help guide other Latinos, other first generation people who are trying to find homes here in the Bay
Yeah.
Area?
I mean, it's super fulfilling because a lot of us, growing up, the thought of owning a home in San Francisco was, no, I didn't know anybody that owned their properties. We all
Yeah.
grew up in apartment buildings, right, or renting, and nothing wrong with that. But now my generation and like my group of friends who also their parents are immigrants and they're first generation Americans and they're able to invest in their first properties for their families. And me being a part of that journey is super humbling, it's super fulfilling. It's the reason why I get up every day and go so hard to build this business and to build a good brand and to build a good reputation because I care. I care about my city. I care about my people. I care about my community. And, this process seems very daunting. And, it's my job to make it simple and not make it stressful. And to me, when I'm able to do that and I show people the pathway and they choose to go forward with it and I'm able to help them, it's definitely very fulfilling.
That's incredible, especially to be part of allowing families to stay in San Francisco, because I know that's been very challenging for a lot of people, right? I
Exactly.
know so many people my age, we grew up in San Francisco and then we can't really afford to stay, and it can be very heartbreaking
Yeah.
to leave your home, basically.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's important to be aware of the programs and the resources that are
Yeah.
available because there is a win when you can potentially qualify for them, and that's when
Mhm.
you take advantage of them.
Yeah. What is one of the most challenging and one of the most rewarding parts so far of owning a business?
There's always challenges, and I think that's what keeps me interested because, I like the challenge. I like the growth opportunities, and, there's always things that I'm learning, and I love that about the business. The market, it's always changing. If rates go up, if rates go down, the inventory levels, if they go up or down, right, that affects my business. I like that I'm constantly being challenged and I'm always learning. I think an opportunity for me right now is to having better work-life balance, learning how to there's some things that I could pause for the evening and pick up the next day. I think that just comes from experience and learning, right? I still feel like I'm a brand new agent, although I've done this for 7, 8 years. I've done well, still feel new because I look at the agents that have been doing this for 20 plus years and they've built a great book of business. They've helped a lot of families, and I aspire to be around for a long time. The thing that I've learned about business is that you got to build it one day at a time, build a solid foundation. I think by doing that, sure, the analogy I like to use is it's all about hitting the singles and getting on base, right? Sure, a grand slam home run always feels great, but you can't build a sustainable business always trying to go for the home run because you still win the game by hitting the singles. So that's what I remind myself. I'm patient with myself and I just continue to put in the work every day. Going back to the work-life balance, that's definitely the opportunity for myself, just being present in other parts of my life.
That's definitely a good analogy. As long as you understand baseball, I guess.
Exactly. If you don't understand baseball, that went over your head.
As someone who was born and raised in San Francisco, you've seen it grow through many eras. In your experience, why are small businesses so vital to uplifting our San Francisco Bay Area community?
Cities, neighborhood, people change, right? We all grow, we all change. If you met me 5 years ago, that's a different person than you met me 10 or 15 years ago, right? And I think cities go through those changes as well. They grow up and they change, and new people come and new youth arise out of the San Francisco Bay Area, right? So everybody's always going to implement their own flavor, have their own influence. So I think the small businesses contribute to that, right? Thinking about just food, like how quesadillas became really popular
Yeah.
in the last 4 or 5 years. I grew up eating birria. I still personally prefer the pot with the soup. And that's just how I grew up eating it, right? But, somebody was like, hey, let's make them taco style and add cheese and dip them in the sauce. And that was a moment. And I think, that's just a food example. But small businesses capture a moment of the city and what it's going through. And it's representing some of the people's needs, whether it's services, whether it's products, whether it's food and restaurant, so captures a moment. And these small businesses contribute to people's lives. That's what people remember. And I do believe that business and community go hand in hand. Growing up, being able to go to like my favorite coffee shops or the market and the grocery stores, and the people know me because they saw me growing up. They're like, oh, what did your mom need today? Right? Onions, tomatoes, because my mom is cooking whatever and she needed me to go run to the store. That community building, I think it's super important. Again, it builds relationships within the people in that community, people in the city. And I think that's why small businesses are super important. And they're personalized. They're going to greet you. They're going to know your name. Whereas if it's just a big company that's copied and pasted throughout the country, it loses its flavor, it loses its sauce. I'm big on custom and personalized experiences and relationships. I think that that's what makes businesses and communities unique. And, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like a small business definitely have an opportunity always to make people feel special and like they're wanted in their community and they're welcome in a space.
Correct. I think it's important to hold on to that, right?
Definitely. Is there any small businesses that was like a special place for you growing up in the city?
Yeah, a few. So, I grew up in the Mission. Muddy Waters was a coffee shop on 16th and Valencia. My dad would go buy a cup of coffee every day, every morning since elementary school. He would take me to school at Daniel Webster and we'll stop. This is when Valencia Street had like the double park in the middle and, you just hop out real quick, go get your coffee. They know him. Till this day, I walk into that coffee shop and the people that have been working there 20 plus years, they know me. They saw me grow up, right? There was a taqueria throughout the Mission, that we used to go to and they knew us. All the local restaurants that have been around, for a long time, they either know my parents, they know us. And I think, again, it's welcoming when you go somewhere and they know you, they greet you, they ask about your family, they ask how you've been. So, I think that's neat. It's unique. That's what creates a community. That's what creates a neighborhood. That's always been nice.
For sure. Yeah. I definitely, with my family, had a similar experience going to like the original Phil's Coffee in the Mission.
Okay.
We used to go in there when I was like
Yeah.
little, going for like a little walk on Sunday. Phil would basically greet everyone. Like he
Yeah.
knew everyone.
And San Francisco is cool because San Francisco has a lot of characters, there's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
artists, there's a lot of like unique people out here. So for us growing up out here, it was normal. Like, I remember when I was a kid, we had nicknames. Like there was this guy that used to dress in all red. He like even his skin, like he was always in red. There was the bird guy that he was always feeding birds. It's like the community in San Francisco. So it's always interesting.
It's definitely one of a kind.
For sure.
As we're heading into the holiday season, do you think it's important that people shop locally? And are there any businesses you would want to shout out that you would enjoy going to?
That's a great question. I think for sure. I think if you could shop local, the convenience of Amazon, right? You could just order and have everything delivered to you. But again, I'm old school. Like I never order anything from Amazon just because I like to try it on. I like to see, how it feels. I like to touch it. So, and I know you could do it and return things. They make it easier. My wife is, she loves Amazon, right? But I like to personalize.
They don't necessarily be physical things because you can also give people as a gift like gift cards to like restaurants, spas, like experiences too. And I feel like San Francisco has a lot of experiences. Lastly, you have a series on your Instagram where you visit and talk about local restaurants. Here's a couple rapid fire questions about our local foods. Just answer quickly with whatever comes to mind first. Okay.
All right, cool.
So the first one is, what is a great spot to get a late night bite?
Late night bite that I know is always late is El Farolito.
Oh, yeah.
If you want Mexican
It's a
food.
classic.
Yeah, it's a classic. I wish that's the one feedback. I wish San Francisco had better late night dining options.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you think of other big cities like New York, LA, you could get some great restaurants at like 10:30 p.m. I just think the culture of the city right now is just not there.
Yeah. I think a lot of places that used to stay open later shortened their hours during the pandemic.
Correct, exactly. So yeah, I don't even know.
I know. I honestly, I always end up at a
yeah, because I'm like, it's there. We know what to get.
Yeah.
We get the super quesadilla. Can't go wrong.
What is a restaurant that has a warm atmosphere? Just like good vibes.
I like Lolo on 21st in Valencia. I like the vibes in there, and they got good food. I like the aesthetics.
Oh my God, no! I literally just went there a couple months ago.
Yeah,
no, it
like
is really
vibe.
cool. Their decoration is very cool, and their food is really good.
Yeah. They have a cocktail that I really like. It's called a windshield.
Ooh.
It's like a smoky drink. I always thought it was tamarindo, but it's not. It tastes like tamarindo to me.
I think I had a dish that was like camarones, like spicy
Another
shrimp.
that
was
yeah,
good.
like at the Diabla.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I think is super warm is Amarena in Russian Hill, little Italian spot. It's on the corner. I like that one too a lot. One of my favorites.
Here's the last food-related question. What food spot is the most nostalgic for you?
I mean, a lot of the taquerias.
Yeah.
But I like San Jalisco. I would give them a
Okay.
shout out, or Gallardos. San Jalisco's used to be called Jarritos back in the day, but they
Mhm.
got sued by Jarritos, so they changed the
Oh,
name.
no.
That spot's been nostalgic, you know, like they got good, just
Mhm.
comfort food. Gallardos is another classic spot. Torta Los Picudos, you know, they've been around as far as I can remember. I like Balompié, you know, Salvadorian food.
Mhm.
Wiz Burger has been there for a
Oh,
long
yeah.
time too. You know, most of my spots are in the Mission
Yeah.
because that's just where I grew up.
I feel all of our best food is in the Mission.
We got a lot of good spots. I'm trying to think of other restaurants or locations. I also got to say that I didn't start exploring a lot of food
Mhm.
till a lot later on as well. You know, I think just growing up, my parents didn't know much better. And, you know, we would try certain things, but that didn't happen till later in life. Like, we wouldn't even eat out as much growing up.
Yeah.
That was, again, that was later on. Like, our going out was like Chinese food, and the
Mhm.
restaurant is still there. We used to go to this Chinese food on Monterey Boulevard over there by like Sunnyside. I drive by it all the time, and I'm just like, that's nostalgic. You
Yeah.
walk in, and they had like the fish tanks and, you know, like the lions on the wall. I was like, oh, you know, it's going to be a good Chinese food spot. And that was like our going out
Yeah.
experiences. Now we eat out so
I
much.
know. I was, like, trying to think of even my restaurants that are nostalgic for me, and so many of them have closed.
That too, yeah, you
Like,
know, and that's what goes back to the question you asked, right? Like those restaurants did have their moment. They, you know, it built the community at some point. It brought people together.
yeah.
So like I remember in high school on Hay Street, there used to be this pizza spot called Fat Slice, and I used to
Mhm.
think it was hella good. Like it was super thick pizza,
Okay.
super cheesy. It was like inexpensive, or like Blondie's. I know they reopened again in downtown. Blondie's
Mhm.
was another one. You could get a slice of pizza and a soda for like $3.99 or something. Next to like Rasputin, which I don't even know if they're around
I have
anymore.
no idea.
That's a CD store.
Probably not. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us today, Martin. Where can people find you and your business?
Yeah, our website is www.harperre.com. Instagram is my last name's Encinas Leon RE. Social media, LinkedIn. You can just Google my name. If you have any real estate questions or food questions, you know, please send me a message or an email. Happy to help out.
We can also put your information in the description of the video.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you learned a little bit about why we love our San Francisco small business community so much and are thinking about how you can shop locally this holiday season. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. Stay tuned for our next episode as we dive deeper into the world of San Francisco small businesses. Bye.